there has been a side of certainly of online influencers, for want of a better word, who are, saying, oh, don't track your health, don't measure your health. That's nonsense. I'm 24 years in this business. This is what I do. You have to track something. Welcome to Real Health with me, Karl Henry. Folks, today we are going to get you summer ready. We've got 8 to 12 weeks before the summer months really kick in. You might have a holiday to look forward to, an event to look forward to, or just the good weather and getting back into your summer wardrobe. It's a great time for people to reset, to rethink, and to replan towards a healthier, happier, fitter, stronger, and lots more over the course of those summer months. No matter what you've tried since the new year has kicked in, chances are it's been tough, it's been challenging, and maybe, just maybe, around now you've fallen off the wagon and you want to reset. So we thought we would build this episode just for you. We're going to start with some really simple goal-setting techniques. It's the most important part of working towards any time of year or any target, is setting the right goal to work towards and how to do that. Then we're going to have a look at movement, the right kind of movement to do, and what you should be looking for. We'll then take a look at food because, well, food is fuel and it's really important. And don't worry, there are no crash diets or fad diet recommendations or anything like that because life is far too short. We are going to give you some really simple, foolproof things that will work in terms of getting you that little bit leaner, that little bit tighter, and in better shape than ever before. And then I want to have a look at sleep. The other component of health and working towards those goals is the quality of your sleep and that you're getting enough of it. So let's take a look at that too. Finally, we're going to look at when you get to your goal, when the summer does come in or the holiday that you do go on, what happens? Because so many people work towards a target and then after that, they fall off the wagon again or they don't know how to maintain it while they're there. So I thought we'd take a little bit of time and have a look at those too. As ever, if you like the episode and you like what we talk about, don't forget to rate and review. And if you have any questions at all, or any podcast recommendations, or any guests that you would like us to feature on the show, do get in touch. It's realhealth@independent.ie, or you can pop me a DM on Instagram @KarlHenryPT and send over your suggestions and we'll put them into the mix for future podcast episodes. Let's start with goal setting then, because that's where it begins. And we've had some brilliant guests over the last while chatting to us about goals, Anna Geary being one of them. But it all begins with setting the right target and the right goal and making sure that that goal isn't too big, that it's not too small, that it's doable, achievable, tangible, that you can measure it. And that's what we're looking for you to do today. Get a pen and paper, write it down, have a think about it, maybe while you're listening to the episode or maybe afterwards. Give yourself half an hour and think, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to make these changes? And the key thing you're looking for is finding a strong enough why that helps you to overcome the challenging times, the tough times, the times where you normally would fall off the wagon, or that the why is the deep meaning. I have a client who's recently started with me down in West Cork, and her why is that she wants to be crutch-free. Her why is that she wants to be crutch-free for her grandson's communion. It's a really strong, deep meaning, deep-rooted reason. And in 3 weeks, her progress has been nothing short of amazing. But it's been like that because she has the right reasons to do it. So don't just think, oh, I'm going to get healthy. Don't just think I'm going to get in shape for summer. But find something a bit more meaningful than that. Is it you want to run around with the kids and have more energy? You want to work better. You want to feel better. You want to do it not for somebody else, but you really want to do it for you. But spend a little bit of time thinking about that, because once you find that why, we know you're more likely to make these changes, to stay on track. You think of brides, for example, are brilliant at this. Their why is that day of the wedding and the dress and walking down the aisle or being at the reception, coming into the room. And we know how vibrant brides look on that day, as grooms do too, by the way. Very important to balance it out. But that why it's so strong-rooted, they will make the changes that are required to get healthier. So what is yours? Spend a little bit of time finding it. And when you do find it, well, don't just hide it away in a book or don't just hide it away, somewhere, because we do that as an Irish audience, which a lot of our podcast is. That's a real thing to do, that we create it and then we stick it away under the drawer somewhere, or we hide it in a book, or we just can't see it. What we want you to do is make that why visible. So put it somewhere, whether it is in the car, at your desk, in your diary, on the fridge, at your bedside, it doesn't really matter. But make it tangible, make it visible, because when you see it, there's a subconscious component to that keeps you motivated and keeps you focused. So don't be afraid to do that. Find it, make it visible, and make sure you see it on a regular basis, because it will help to keep you focused and it will help to keep you motivated. And it's a really easy way just to kind of check in every now and again. That's the reason, and that is why I'm doing it. Once you have both of those things, it's about ensuring that your goal and your why can fit into your lifestyle. So, maybe it might be weight loss, it could be anything. But if it's too big and too all-inclusive or too overwhelming, chances are after 3 or 4 weeks you will burn out and you will fall off the wagon, because it was never set up for success in the first place. Make sure they align, that your life, that you can take 3 exercise sessions a week or 4 exercise sessions a week or 1 exercise session a week. Can you absorb that level of commitment? And if you can't, work back until you find the point at which you can, because it's easier to build up and do more than it is to reduce and do less from a mental health perspective. So make sure that aligns. Make sure you have the time to commit to working towards that goal. And the final component of goals is measuring them on a regular basis. So you need to track it. By tracking it, you know if you're succeeding, you know if it's right, you know if you're working towards the right thing in the right way, if you're getting the progress that you expect. You won't know that from not tracking something. And over the last probably 2 to 3 years, there has been a side of certainly of online influencers, for want of a better word, who are, saying, don't track your health, don't measure your health. That's nonsense. I'm 24 years in this business. This is what I do. You have to track something. It can be anything, but you need to track something. On a very basic level, it could be how fast can you walk 5 kilometers or 6 kilometers? How many press-ups can you do? How many squats can you do? How many inches your waistline is a lovely way of tracking that. And as ever, we know where the waistline is. It's your belly button area. Put your hand on it now. That's where it is. You measure that weekly and you see the difference, or you see the change. If it's a weight perspective, you measure that weekly on the same time, same day. And again, you watch that change. Now, we know that weight on its own doesn't really tell us much. You need to look at muscle. You need to look at fat. And you do that by getting a smart scales. But the key thing is regular adjustment and regular measurement is really, really important, because then if it's not working, you can tweak it, you can change it. But you only know that when you track it. So find a way of tracking it. Track that on a regular basis, once a week, same time, same day. It doesn't have to necessarily be more than that. There are trainers who recommend weighing every single day. For most people, you don't need to do that. If your weight stabilizes a little bit more, it can be a handy way of doing it, but it can become slightly obsessive, which is why we tend to say once a week, same time, same day is a more normal, a more natural way to do it. So that's the opening bit. It's finding that goal, finding your why, making it visible, and then finding a way of tracking it on a regular basis within that time frame that we're talking about. So 8, 12 weeks there or thereabouts. It's a lovely time frame. You can do so much within that space. So find out what you're going to do and then let's work towards it. That brings us naturally into movement. So you know what you want to do. Now, how are you going to do it? Well, you need to move more. That's the first thing. We have movement, which is general daily movement. So that's walking up the stairs, walking to the bus, standing on the bus or the train, standing in work, walking around the house, doing the housework, gardening, all very low intensity movement. But the beauty of that is it's movement and it all adds up. There isn't a magic number. We know that 10,000 steps is very trendy and very fashionable. It's really the more the merrier. It's whatever you can do. If you can do 8,000 steps, that's brilliant. If you can do 28,000 steps, that's fantastic. But it has to work for you. One of the things for movement is it's a conscious decision. So coming into the podcast studio, I come up to Media House once a month thereabouts. We record in Talbot Street. I make a decision when I get off the train at Houston Station to walk up to the podcast studio and to walk back down. I don't get the bus, the train. I don't have an electric scooter or a bike or a taxi. I physically walk. And that's 3.5K each way. It's 7K. I've sat on the train for 2.5 hours coming up, 2.5 hours going home. It's easy to make the decision, which is, I'll get a taxi today. My bag's a bit heavy or whatever. But it's a choice. So it's about having that kind of subconscious awareness of the goal and the choice and choosing to move a little bit more. How many times have you gone into a shopping centre and chosen the escalator as opposed to the stairs? That's a choice. Or chose to drive to the shops, which might be 1 kilometre down the road with a footpath, as opposed to walking down. Again, that's a choice. So it's choosing to do the movement piece. It's choosing to make those simple movement swaps. It's using the stairs in the office. It is standing a little bit more in the office. It is getting off the bus a couple of stops earlier. They're just simple little choices, but those simple little choices will add up because it's increasing the quantity of movement that you do over the course of the day. And every step that you do is a step towards your goal. But then you have exercise, which is a different thing altogether, because exercise is huffing and puffing. It's more intense. You got to be getting slightly out of breath, but being still able to hold a conversation. And no matter what your exercise is, whether it's walking, cycling, you've got to get slightly out of breath for it to be exercise, because the exercise is what will change the body. It will tone, it will shape, it will hone, it will adapt because you're pushing it. Slow, steady movement, with the exception of like yoga or Pilates, but generally slow, steady movement won't do the same thing. You have to work harder. If cardiovascular exercise is your workout, which lots of people do, then think about that. When was the last time you went for your exercise walk and got out of breath? Well, then walk faster. Or cycled and got out of breath. Or swimming, a classic one. Did you get out of breath when you were in the pool this week? No? Well, then that's not exercise. It doesn't count. It's got to be moderate intensity and upwards. The real key thing, and we talk about it time and time again, and every expert that comes into the show tells us time and time again, of the importance of weight-bearing movement or weights as a form of exercise. If you want this summer to be the best, if you want it to be in fantastic shape and feel good and have more energy and be strong and that aging health, we do need you to lift weights. It is really important. Whether that's a press up, whether that's a squat, whether it's a lunge, whether it's in a gym with a personal trainer or a class, it doesn't really matter. But the really important thing is you have to do it. So if you're really scared of it, strip it right back. Do 20 squats and 20 lunges every day. Start there. Yes, it's hard the first time you do it, but guess what? It gets easier. Add in some press ups, add in a plank and build, or go and get expert advice. But by doing the weight bearing movement, you will get the goal, the change quicker, because the body's been forced to adapt and been forced to challenge itself with weights. You will be stronger. You will have better bone density. You will feel better. Your clothes will fit better. No, you're not going to get big and muscular. It doesn't happen like that. It's really difficult to do, especially for women. But you're going to be toned. Summer wardrobe will come out. You'll pop that top on and you will feel fantastic because you put the work in. You'll have shape in your arms. You'll have triceps. You'll have biceps. You'll have deltoids. You'll feel brilliant. But you have to lift weights to do that. The other aspect of movement then is the flexibility work. That's your yoga, that's your Pilates. Really important. We tend not to do enough of it, so add a little bit of that in too. The movement piece is crucial. We have to move more. We have to get exercising more intensely. You have to lift weights. They're all tie in with any goal really that you're going to have for the summer. You're going to have to do that aspect of it. Again, build it into your diary and see what suits. And surround yourself with people who might help you to do it, whether it's a class or a friend or a trainer or whatever. And if you have any concerns, it is worth getting a physio kind of head to toe where you just book into it for a physio session. They will give you a once over and say, okay, well, yeah, you have a weakness there or you have an issue there or whatever. And that's important in terms of if you're nervous about starting, going to a physio, having a checkup is a really good way to be assured that you're doing the right exercise, and they'll advise you and they'll give you homework as well. Next up then is our food. So the food it's fuel. You can't train a bad diet. You can't eat chocolate and crisps and fizzy drinks and aim to get in amazing shape for the summer. That just doesn't work unless you're built a certain way, like very few people are. You have that tall, slender kind of physique where you can kind of eat what you want, but they call that skinny fat, which is a different thing entirely because you look slim or skinny, but actually you've loads of visceral fat inside. You just can't see it. So it's equally as dangerous, if not more dangerous, because you physically don't look it. But the key thing is then food is crucial. 80-20 is our approach. You know that if you've listened to the show before. 80% of the time you eat healthy, 20% of the time you have a treat, a meal, a takeaway, fast food, a burger, chips, whatever, doesn't matter. That's balance. And that's really important. That idea of spreading your food out over a course of a 12-hour window is really important too, from first meal to last meal. It's a natural way of intermittent fasting, and it's an easy way to do it. Intermittent fasting, all it is a period of eating and a period of not eating. If you squish it down to kind of 4 hours and 6 hours, yes, you'll lose weight faster because it's calorie restriction, but it's really hard to do in the real world. So 12 and 12 is what our clients do, and it works really well. It gives a time frame to eat all of your food within. That'll make a big, big difference to your digestive health, which is really important too. Then you're looking to spread your food every 3 hours. So breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner. breakfast should be whole grain cereals, eggs, whole grain toast, yogurt with fruit, and maybe some low GI granola. The higher sugar foods we know are an issue. There are cereals that are fine. Again, they're the grain type or the fibrous type. They're brown generally in colour. They're much healthier than those like that have lots of sugar. I mean, because you can taste the sugar when you eat them. They're not good for us. So whole grains, whole meals, brown bread toast with eggs. Porridge is fantastic. Again, really good for gut health. Also, full of fibre, cheap as chips, and it's really nice. And then a snack about 2 or 3 hours later. So that would be fruit and some nuts. Then lunch. And lunch, it's a whole grain. If it's in a shop, so you go for your wrap, your bagel, or your roll, or your sandwich. And then protein and colour and some mayonnaise, if you want some. And then you're going to snack later in the afternoon. And then dinner. And again, dinner, you're looking at that portion plate idea of half salad or veg, a quarter protein, and a quarter carbohydrate. And if you stick to that, from a food perspective, and there's nothing rocket science in there, you will lose weight, you will feel better, you will have more energy, you'll have better skin, hair, nails, because there's minerals and vitamins in that. But it's a very healthy way of eating. And when it comes to food, it should be that. Don't forget, you got to plan and stock up of all the stuff that you want to eat. So that big food shop component. You don't have to do your fridge like I do, but it's weirdly pleasurable. So if you want to, you can organize your fridge because it just sets yourself up for success. But whatever you're spending time during the week, you want to be setting up for success. So if I'm traveling on the train, I'll have water, I'll have fruit, and I just make better decisions. And I'll have a protein bar in there or something as well, which again helps me to just make better decisions in terms of my food when I travel. And then allow yourself that treat day. Alcohol has a role within getting summer ready because if you choose to drink, great, enjoy it. But then again, it's one day. It's not, or not one day. It's a night out or a couple of drinks. It is not, 3, 4, 5 days. That balance component, that 80-20, is really, really important. So we've looked at the goal, we've looked at your food, we've looked at your movement. Sleep is the next bit. It's that recovery component. You want to lose more weight, sleep better. You want to train better and exercise better, sleep better. It's the foundation stone of all of this, and we know that we need to sleep more. So no caffeine after 4 o'clock is a simple tip to start with. And you might be very sensitive to caffeine, so you can pull it even earlier. But reducing your caffeine intake later in the day improves the quality of your sleep. The next one is this. If I ask you to describe your bedroom, might be a strange question, but how does it make you feel? And if you think of the word spa, how does the word spa make you feel? So spa, it conjures up relaxed feelings, easy, sleepy, quiet, quality, kind of just, there's a loveliness to the word spa, because when you go to a spa and you pay good money for your treatment, you expect that you get all of those things. You relax almost as soon as you think about it. Well, your bedroom should have the same kind of subconscious kick in it, that once you think about it, or even before you begin to think about it, the body begins to relax because it's calm. It has low lighting. It is comfortable. It is clean, tidy. As a space, it's relaxing because you're going there to relax. And that starts from before you go to bed. So think of your own room and create that sense. It should be tech-free. We know that. Again, I've talked about that from time before. Taking your phone out of the bedroom, or certainly as far away from the bed as you possibly can. And it avoids waking up during the night doom scrolling through Instagram at like 3 a.m. looking for likes. It's very weird. So by placing your phone away from you further, you tend to sleep better. Your mattress. First things first, hoover your mattress. We got a hoover not that long ago, and that's what we did. And like the stuff that came off it. If you don't believe me, try it out. It's fascinating. It's really interesting. So yes, let's just not go too deep into all of that. But you need to hoover it on a fairly regular basis. You then need to change it on a fairly regular basis of kind of 6 to 8 years thereabouts, depending on basically how much you're sleeping there. But it is crucial because you spend so much time there that it should be the best that you can afford and the best that you can get, because that's all part of the recovery process, and it's really important. I'm showing my age now at 42 where I get excited by a really good mattress. But actually, why wouldn't you? Because that's how you spend time. Think of a car, you spend time in your car, you get a good car. Or a chair in work, but the mattress, you spend 8 hours a day ideally lying down there, so why wouldn't you invest in a really good one? And then just slowing down towards the evening time, doing a brain dump in terms of work, a to-do list in terms of what you have to do the very next day helps you relax and kind of calm down a little bit too. So what happens when you get there then? So in 10 or 12 weeks time, you've done it. You feel fantastic. You get to the wedding, you get to the holiday, and then what happens? Well, nothing really changes, because the approach that we're trying to recommend here is not one where we're recommending a phenomenally difficult diet or regime or whatever. It's just a change of lifestyle, and that's just how you live. So you continue to measure on a weekly basis. Yes, you might have one or two more, an extra treat meal or whatever, but like on the whole, it shouldn't really change. It should be very similar. And then you set a new target. It's all about goals and resetting. Thinking about what's next, where can I go with this, what else can I do, and then working towards that, and then checking in on a regular basis. I really do hope you enjoyed today's episode. We thought, because we had a lot of guests in over the course of the last couple of months, and some really impressive guests, and every time we do, we learn from each episode that we do, and we're very privileged to have the guests on that we have. But sometimes it's nice to strip it back and say, okay, well, we're coming into the summertime. It is going to be sleeveless clothes, bikini, shorts, whatever. And let's just strip it all back to basics a little bit and say, here's what you have to do, and here's how you're going to do it. Put the tips and tools into action, and you will be amazed by the results that you get over the course of those 8 to 12 weeks. As ever, if you have any suggestions for guests or questions, do drop us an email, realhealth@independent.ie. If you liked what you heard on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, don't forget to rate and review, and we'll see you next week for more Real Health. Slán go fóill.